I bet you didn't know how Donald Trump shocked the world in 2016. In 2016, Donald J. Trump, a man who'd built his empire on casinos and reality TV, managed to convince enough Americans to make him the leader of the free world. It was a real head-scratcher for many, like finding a Cheeto in your sock drawer, unexpected, and vaguely unsettling. Trump's campaign was a masterclass in populist rhetoric, tapping into a deep well of dissatisfaction among voters who felt left behind by the establishment. He promised to make America great again, a slogan that resonated with those yearning for a return to a simpler, more prosperous time. His opponent, Hillary Clinton, represented the political elite that many had grown disillusioned with. Despite winning the popular vote by a significant margin, Clinton lost the Electoral College, exposing a fundamental divide in American society. Trump's victory sent shockwaves through the nation and the world. It was a clear sign that the political landscape had shifted and the rules of the game had changed. The reality TV star was now the leader of the free world, and everyone was just along for the ride. Buckle up, America, it was going to be a bumpy 4 years. The first 100 days of a presidency are often seen as a bellwether for the next 4 years. In Trump's case, it was like watching a bull in a china shop, chaotic, unpredictable, and leaving a trail of broken porcelain in its wake. He came out swinging, signing a flurry of executive orders aimed at dismantling his predecessor's legacy. From immigration bans to environmental rollbacks, Trump wasted no time in making his mark. One of his most controversial early moves was the so-called Muslim ban, which restricted travel from several Muslim-majority countries. The ban sparked protests and legal challenges, setting the tone for a presidency marked by clashes over immigration policy. On the economic front, Trump moved quickly to fulfill his campaign promise of bringing back jobs. He withdrew the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement and slapped tariffs on goods from China, igniting a trade war that would have far-reaching consequences. The first 100 days of the Trump administration were a whirlwind of activity, much of it aimed at undoing the work of the previous administration. Whether you agreed with his policies or not, one thing was clear: Donald Trump was here to shake things up. Trump, the self-proclaimed king of deals, came into office promising to revitalize the American economy. His signature economic achievement was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, a sweeping piece of legislation that slashed taxes for corporations and individuals. The tax cuts were lauded by Republicans and some business leaders who argued that they would boost investment and create jobs. However, critics argued that the tax cuts primarily benefited the wealthy and corporations, exacerbating income inequality. They also pointed to the ballooning federal deficit as evidence that the tax cuts were fiscally irresponsible. On the trade front, Trump's aggressive use of tariffs had mixed results. While some industries benefited from protectionist measures, others were hurt by retaliatory tariffs imposed by trading partners. America First was the defining principle of Trump's foreign policy. It was a rejection of multilateralism and a return to a more unilateral approach, prioritizing American interests above all else. Trump pulled the United States out of the Paris Agreement on climate change, arguing that it was unfair to American workers. He also withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal, imposing sanctions that crippled the Iranian economy. Trump's relationship with Russia was a source of constant controversy. He repeatedly praised Russian President Vladimir Putin, even as U.S. intelligence agencies concluded that Russia had interfered in the 2016 election to help Trump win. Despite the controversies, Trump did achieve some foreign policy successes. He brokered historic peace agreements between Israel and several Arab states, a significant breakthrough in the long-stalled Middle East peace process. Section 5. Impeachment, a presidency on trial. In 2019, Donald Trump became only the third president in U.S. history to be impeached by the House of Representatives. The charges stemmed from a phone call in which Trump pressured Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden. Democrats accused Trump of abusing his power by soliciting foreign interference in the 2020 election. Republicans largely defended Trump, arguing that the phone call was perfect and that Democrats were engaged in a politically motivated witch hunt. The Senate, which was controlled by Republicans, acquitted Trump on both articles of impeachment, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The impeachment proceedings further deepened the partisan divide in American politics, leaving many Americans wondering if there was anything that could bridge the gulf between the two sides. Section 7. A contested election, the 2020 race and its aftermath. The 2020 presidential election was one of the most consequential in American history. It pitted incumbent Donald Trump against former Vice President Joe Biden, setting the stage for a bitter and divisive contest. The election was held against the backdrop of the ongoing pandemic, a struggling economy, and a nation deeply divided along political and cultural lines. Biden campaigned on a message of unity and a return to normalcy, while Trump continued to stoke cultural anxieties and cast doubt on the legitimacy of the election. In the end, Biden won both the popular vote and the Electoral College, but Trump refused to concede, making baseless claims of widespread voter fraud. Trump's allegations of election fraud were repeatedly rejected by state and federal courts, as well as his own attorney general. Despite the lack of evidence, Trump's claims fueled distrust in the democratic process, culminating in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Section 8. A legacy defined by division, the enduring impact of the Trump era. The Trump presidency was a period of profound upheaval and division in American history. From his unconventional rise to power to his chaotic governing style, Trump shattered norms and challenged long-held assumptions about American politics. His supporters lauded him as a disruptor who challenged the status quo and fought for the forgotten man. They pointed to his economic policies, his appointment of conservative judges, and his tough stance on immigration as evidence of his success. His detractors viewed him as a demagogue who stoked fear and division, undermining democratic institutions and norms. They criticized his rhetoric, his policies, and his personal conduct, arguing that he eroded trust in government and damaged America's standing in the world. The Trump presidency left an indelible mark on American society, deepening existing divisions and raising profound questions about the future of American democracy. Only time will tell what the long-term consequences of the Trump era will be, but one thing is certain: the United States emerged from this tumultuous period a deeply divided and uncertain nation.